Oz Harvest is a non-profit organization that was initially founded in Sydney in 1994. Just recently, they established a new headquarters in Melbourne, with the main aim of rescuing excess food which would otherwise be discarded. Fighting hunger, avoiding greenhouse emissions, and rescuing food are interlinked issues that drive the efforts of this organization. Susan Maiden, head of logistics, talks about some of the charities they work with.
A lot of the charities we deal with are to do with families, youth are a big priority. We also work with some drop-in centres that help people in crisis or homeless, street workers as well. Drop-in centres are really important for them because it actually gives them a social outlet. It lets them feel like they belong somewhere rather than being totally isolated. So yeah, they're a big priority. We also deal with a few drug and rehabilitation centres, asylum centres.
The food that is generously donated aims to address the underlying social problems in our society, creating important links between companies and local communities. However, some challenges are ahead for this organization.
Because Oz Harvest is not government funded in a way like a lot of other charitable organisations are, all the funding that we have to raise all our own funding. So in order for Melbourne to be able to grow and meet the demand that we have, because we can't meet demand at the moment, we need to raise money in order to be able to get new vans, employ new people, go into different areas. We just can't do that at the moment, and that is the biggest challenge.
The reasons behind the big amount of food wastage are a good starting point to find more sustainable mechanisms of redistribution and equity.
I think that the food producers and your supermarket giants like Woolworths, Coles, they've set expectations, they've set standards, and they've made us very, very fussy about our food, because they always say, you've got to have the best, and, we've got the best. And people go in, and if something's got a bruise or it's supposed to be straight and it's a little bit bent, they don't buy it. But that's only once it hits the store and we're the consumer. So much food goes to waste before it even gets to the shelves because the supermarket chains buyers. Up in Sydney, we rescued 33 pallets of carrots because they were too short.
A key element of the food rescue process is the careful selection of the items that are donated to them before they are actually redistributed to the beneficiaries.
Itself, when we go into like a supermarket and they go, there's the food that we're donating to you, we actually go through it and have a look at it because the rule of thumb is that if you wouldn't eat it, like if you pick up a capsicum or a bag of potatoes or a punnet of strawberries or something, if you wouldn't eat them yourself, then don't expect anybody else to. So I always try to teach everybody to open up like a punnet of strawberries and pull the bad ones out. If there's a couple of mouldy ones, or take them out, because it's also about having respect for the people that we're giving the food to. Just because they're poor doesn't mean they don't deserve respect. So it's about sorting out the food and taking the rubbish food out of it, because there's no use taking bad food from one garbage bin and putting it into another garbage bin. The food that we pick up has to be edible.
Rescuing food is not the only activity. Oz Harvest also has Cooking for a Cause, which is a program that helps to integrate food rescue with corporate partners. Numerous chefs are invited, and they have the unique opportunity of creating their own meals. Companies participate in a cooking day, where employees and sponsors can see the benefits of their donation and the creation of social responsible programs. Paul McMahon, State Manager for Oz Harvest Melbourne, talks about some of the key issues behind food wastage.
I think a big part of it too is education. That as a people, we don't necessarily plan our menus. Personally, I think the greatest way to reduce waste is for us as families to plan a menu each week so we know what we're going to cook ahead of time, so we buy only what we need and not just because it looks good and it's on sale. And you know, if each household wastes 20% in Australia, that is billions of tonnes of landfill. And imagine if we could distribute that to the hungry. And I think we're getting smarter and better, and we've improved it in the last 10 or 20 years.
Luckily, Melbourne has a surplus for food rescue. It only needs the mechanisms for more effective outcomes. Alirio Quintana, Monash University.